buying properties where the rents are way less than market. What's going on, YouTube? It's Matt Fairclough. Thank you for watching Mentorship Monday. Today's question comes from Vaughn, who submitted his question to helpme@theroastergroup.com. That is helpme@theroastergroup.com. And he wrote in a question, and we are answering that question right here on the YouTube page for you and everybody else to learn from. So thank you, Vaughn. So today we got what Vaughn wants to know is he's buying himself a duplex up in Lackawanna County. I love places with funny names. Lackawanna County, love it, Vaughn. He's got it's a duplex. It's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. He said rents are $540. He's thinking market's more like 8, give or take, per door. And so valid. So here's Vaughn's dilemma. Is his tenants are on a lease. Now these tenants of Vaughn you have here happen to be Section 8. Doesn't matter for what I'm going to recommend to you. The Vaughn's rents are way below market. So he's getting $540 currently, and rent. The market rent's $800. What does he do? Well, Vaughn has a couple of options, and I'll tell you what I recommend. Vaughn could just raise the rents maybe 3-4% per year, keep the units as in the condition that they're in, keep the tenants on their current leases, or just renew the lease to his lease, but just, don't make any improvements, just re-up their rent by, 3%, 4% per year, whatever the market will allow. Most markets have rent control, and if you're Section 8, you're absolutely going to have rent control, saying you can only increase the rent but by so much a year, right? So you can do that. But what I would do is I would add some value to the property, make it a nicer place for the tenants to live, and ask them if they're willing to pay more value to you, more money to you for the value you're creating. Okay, so if it's got off-street parking, well, what if I pave that parking lot for you? What if I put up a new privacy fence for you on the outside? On the inside of the units, we'll typically upgrade light fixtures, like put in ceiling fans, put in nice fancy light switches. People tend to love those outlets where it's got a USB plug at the top and then a plug at the bottom, so they can plug in anything with a USB cord. That's the new thing. Very affordable, and you could put something like that in. Of course, appliances. Everybody loves new appliances. Washer dryer hookups in their units. I tend to not own the washer dryer. I like the tenant to lease it themselves, or I can lease it to them. But owning the machine is not something I want to do. All these different things you can do while the tenant's in, and say, listen, Mr. or Mrs. Tenant, if I were to put in new light fixtures, give you a new countertop and some new appliances, and pave your parking area and put in a higher fence, or name it, right? And name any of those things that you're willing to do for them, and give them an upgrade package. Would you be willing to pay? I see you're currently paying $540. Would you be willing to pay me $700 if I did all that stuff for you and sign a new lease? And if they say yes, great. Do the value. I'll promise you that the amount of investment you're going to make to create that increase in rents will most likely be a very good spread, or it'll make a good return on investment for you. And your tenant will be happier because you're not going to go and just try and up their rent for no reason aside from they're paying below market, right? So I find that just increasing people's rents without increasing the unit quality at all, number one, is just not the right thing to do because you're not really giving any value for that, right? And number two, you could get yourself in trouble quite honestly in some markets, in a legal concern, because you could be increasing the rents above rent control laws. So we'll just add a bunch of value and say, okay, it's not the same unit, it's these upgrades, and you agreed to pay for these upgrades to the unit. If they choose not to, then depending on the state that you're in, you can ask them to, like, okay, well then I'm going to make these upgrades. You don't want to pay the increase, then our lease is up, and you can move to somewhere else. So you could do it that way, or you could allow them to just keep staying where they are and increase the rents a couple of % a year. Your call on that one. And some states, including New Jersey, will not allow you to cause the tenant to vacate. So other states have those laws, so you want to look into your local state laws. But in New Jersey, you're not allowed to go to if the tenant is current on the rent and is abiding by all terms of the lease, you cannot terminate their contract. You have to renew their contract no matter what. So you could offer them these upgrades. They could say no, and then you have to keep them on their current lease with a reasonable rent increase. Okay, so depends on the state. But what we tend to do, people want to live in nicer places, so if they can afford the extra $100 a month, offer them the upgrades, maybe 100, 150, whatever, you're willing to do for that money, and they should be can hopefully strike a deal with you. So that's my recommendation to you, Vaughn. I know that there's Section 8. Again, Section 8 should be able to approve based on what their knowledge of market rent is. And if you're willing to make some improvements for the tenant should be willing to agree to do it too. Section 8 should be willing to sign off if the tenant agrees to it, and off you go. So thank you, Vaughn. Thank you, guys. Help me at DeRosiaGroup.com is where you want to send your questions, and check us out at DeRosiaGroup.com to hear more about what we're up to as a company. Thank you, and have a great profitable week.